Hi everyone. So my name's Alice Anderson and I use the pronouns she, her. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to me and what I have to say. So I'm a person with learning disabilities and I have about 10 years or so paid experience in the disability industry. So I have worked with multiple people and organisations in the disability field. I've also got 5 years experience in the recruitment and HR area. I have actually been a participant of the Pathways program when I was at university. So I'm a graduate of UTS and I did a Bachelor of Organisational Learning. I found the Pathways to be really valuable information and information that I did take with me moving forward as a person with disabilities. It's one thing to be a student with disabilities and be able to advocate for yourself and know your reasonable adjustments in an educational setting. But it's another thing to actually understand your disabilities, your reasonable adjustments, and how you should be interacting in the paid and work environments that you'll find yourself hopefully in the near future. I also did go to TAFE, New South Wales, so I did also have that educational experience as well, which really helped me build up my skills and experience. So I've been asked to come and talk to this group of people. Obviously, we are in a different time at the moment, so in a remote setting. I have also presented face-to-face in conferences in regards of my own disabilities, my experience in the disability fields, and my experience in recruitment and workplaces. So the three main topics that I've been asked to speak about are skills and connections, exploring different options, and then also how to take action as well. So with skills and connections, as a recruiter, I have done both internal recruitment and external recruitment. A lot of the time people will find their work and their jobs through word of mouth. I know this sounds very frustrating when you see jobs being advertised. Sometimes the fact of the matter is those jobs have already been filled by somebody and the organisation is just going through the HR regulations and processes that they need to do to be able to successfully choose their candidate that they have already chosen. So having good connections and a good network to secure work is important, not just when you're first starting out in your career, but continuing to start with your career. I suggest doing a LinkedIn profile, even as a student. It's really good just to put your name out there. And it's just good that you can keep aware about what's happening in your industry that you're interested in as well. One of the other things I think students should consider when they are in university or in TAFE or another educational setting is to start doing some type of work. That could be paid part-time or casual work or volunteer work. The main reason why you need to start doing this is for when you do complete your degree and you're trying to get your first graduate position, you will need to provide references. And the best references are through work references. So people have seen that you have had responsibilities and tasks, that you've had different outcomes that you're supposed to be meeting, and that you've been able to interact and work positively with other people from different backgrounds, not just your own friends or family. I was also involved with the University Disability Action Group at UTS, which was a really great way for me to explore further about what it meant to be a person with disabilities, what it meant for me interacting with other people with disabilities, and knowing how to do networks, create events, those types of things. I think it's also really good to go and do sports and clubs if that's something that you're interested in. Again, choose something that you feel passionate about. This is supposed to be recreational, not just networking. But this is a great opportunity to find other like-minded people. Also, there can be volunteering opportunities in certain roles. So if you're interested in business, I think it's always good to be able to hold a treasurer position. Having good basic financial understanding, how to run basic books is really valuable for yourself moving forward if you're wanting to go into business, for example. Events and talks. I know that we're in a different environment at the moment, but I sometimes will just go to an opening of an envelope. I like to go out and meet other people. I like to talk to other people. I am a bit of an introvert, extrovert person, so I do like the company of myself, but I also like meeting other people. However, when you do go outside your bubble, you never know who you're going to meet. And some of the best connections that I've made have been by going to different events and different talks as well. I always choose topics that I'm interested in. Sometimes you will get a free nibble or drink as well, which is a bit of a bonus. But it is a really great way of expanding your networks, broadening your horizons, and then getting to know what other people are doing out there. You won't get that experience sitting at home. I know it can be a bit daunting, but again, if you feel uncomfortable, you can always leave. And I think it's always really good if you do have certain accessibility requirements before attending the event, just drop a note or drop an email to the event organizer. They're more than happy to accommodate. I have definitely asked for some adjustments before attending certain events, and I've always had a really positive a reaction when I've asked for those adjustments, and they've never said no, which is really good. I think also having with your skills, it is really important to have your qualifications and make sure that you got copies of those qualifications, that you're completing your units, and that you're knowing what type of skills you want to have for your career ahead of you. With myself, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left high school, so I went into TAFE. I ended up doing business and community service work. And I really liked the people side of things. I liked how the psychology elements, I liked learning about how organizations learned. I also liked HR. So I did find a degree that combined both of those subjects. I knew roughly where I wanted to go afterwards. But again, it is also just having a go as well as you move along in your career. Having all your checks and documents is also really important when you are looking for that casual work or volunteer work. People will ask for your Working with Children's Check New South Wales if you are working with vulnerable people. People will ask for a driver's license, sometimes forms of ID, and then also proof of working rights as well. So when I say proof of working rights, I'm talking about a birth certificate, a passport, or immigration notice, or Australian citizenship certificate. Compliance is really important to make sure that you've got right and make sure that you have those documents today. I know you might not be wanting to enter into the workforce today, but you never know what's around the corner. And sometimes getting those types of documents can be a really lengthy process. So being prepared for going out and interacting with organisations and people that do have compliance needs is really important. I think also understanding about your reasonable adjustments and how people can meet those is really important. So being able to clearly communicate this, being able to communicate it in a way that doesn't seem too daunting for the organisation, and understanding what is a need for yourself and what is a want for yourself, and what will make you successful in the role that you're participating in a volunteer or paid capacity. I think sometimes people make it a really big thing, accessibility. It's not. You just need to break it down, and you need to make it sure that people understand it in chunk-wise, step by step. And be patient with people. People will make mistakes. People will sometimes use the wrong language when describing your disability or your reasonable adjustments. But politely correcting people, using I statements, using how you feel, and not accusing people of trying to hurt you or offend you, trying to keep it fairly neutral. I understand that it can be really offensive, but it is also good just to try to keep a very neutral space when you're working with other people that might not have the right understanding or language used. I think also asking for help is really important. I've known myself, sometimes I've been a bit hesitant to ask for help or assistance, especially in the workplace. But I think in the long run, it's always good to reach out, and also finding allies in the workplace or other people with disabilities in the workplace is really powerful. People that you can trust in, and build your little your group, your supporters, and make sure people are all on the same page and not being afraid to speak up, but then also keeping a positive attitude and being respectful as well to others can get you really far. I think if you start with that and you start with a strengths-based approach to the organisation, they should reciprocate with the strengths-based approach to you as an individual as well. With exploring, so that's kind of skills and connections. I think it is just, you do need to have good connections, you do need to have good skills, and you need to understand that isn't just for today, it's for the future, it's moving forward. And you do need to have sometimes additional support in the workplace or in a volunteering capacity or at university even. And I'm sure that with your own university journey so far that you've had to reach out for assistance at times, with fellow classmates or with the accessibility units. And sometimes it can be really frustrating, really daunting, but at the end of the day, it is really about trying to keep yourself in control, positive, and a strength-based approach about what you can do and what you can achieve with some reasonable adjustments, and making it clear and easy for other people to understand what those are. So coming on to the next topic is around exploring different options. So I am a keen volunteer myself, so I have volunteered a lot. And my current role, I do excuse myself, I should have said that at the start. My current role is an inclusion volunteering coordinator with the Volunteering Centre of New South Wales, which is a new position for myself. I'm week 3. But I have always enjoyed volunteering. I still volunteer on a regular basis. And I also did learn a lot of skills, and I did build a lot of connections through volunteering myself. And especially being a younger person with learning disabilities, I found it really helpful and a good way of actually learning how to speak about my reasonable adjustments and understand how I can positively contribute. So volunteering is a great way of trying new things. I think also asking for other people's opinions about what you should try. Sometimes it's really hard to understand yourself and have a good reflection on yourself about what you're good at and what you can contribute to the world. I think sometimes people can be their worst critic. However, on the other hand, you are your own expert. So if someone says, oh, I think you can go and do skydiving, but you have a huge fear of heights, don't go skydiving, because you know that that's your fear. I also do think you should be careful about not letting people tell you what you can and can't do. Sometimes people have huge assumptions when it comes to people with disabilities. And I think that, again, you should try things in a safe environment, with support, and see where it can lead you, because I think sometimes you can even really surprise yourself. One other thing that I think is really a good idea is if you find someone with that job that you think, wow, I'd love to do that, ask if you could have a coffee with them. Have a bit of an informal interview with them about their position. How did they get there? What type of jobs did they have in the lead up? What type of skills and experience do they draw on a regular basis? And have a really, frank conversation with them. Say that you want to learn more about their field and what they've done in their work. I think also having fun and, using the skills that you already have is really important when trying different things. You can, bring your experience across to different areas, which is really important. I think also look at market trends. As a recruiter, when someone says, I don't know what I want to do for work, I say, jump onto Seek and start searching the jobs that you think you might be interested in. Look how many jobs are being posted. Look at the Seek reports on it. They do breakdowns of the most advertised positions in the market. Have a look at the salary as well. If the salary is not something that you are wanting, then have a think about what type of salary you're wanting to earn in your professional career and what type of roles you can do. For example, I wanted to explore being a diversional therapist at one point. I looked at Seek and I saw that the salary was very quite low, and it just wouldn't be the type of salary that I'd be wanting to earn in my career. So have a look at the different salaries, and also when you're on Seek or the other job sites, have a look at what the requirements are for those jobs are. Look at what the qualifications and experiences are. Don't be deterred though, because sometimes those lists can be almost wish lists by the recruiter. I have definitely seen people put, I want them to have 5 years experience in this certain software, but the software hasn't been around for 5 years. So there's some incidences where it's not been reasonable, even from the ask of the recruiter. So always check with the recruiter themselves what is a must and what is a wish list item. And also be prepared to have conversations with people that will say, no, you haven't got the right experiences at the moment. But then follow up with, how can I gain the right experiences for that job or that position? and understand the different steps that that role requires and the experience that that requires for you to gain that the role. So look at qualifications, look at skills, look at experiences. So just to kind of summarize around exploring different options, I would say volunteer, ask other people, know yourself, understand about other different types of roles, interview people about their jobs, look on Seek, see what type of skills and qualifications that those jobs are requiring, look at the salaries if that's matching what you're wanting to earn in your career, and just keep an open mind. And I think sometimes you will have jobs that you do not like, and that's kind of the fact of the matter. It's always easier to get a job when you have another job. It's so ironic, but it's true, and it is extremely frustrating. But that's just how our society works, which is really frustrating. So coming to my third kind of topic, which is actions. So I think one thing is to really be good is have an understanding about where you want to go. It doesn't need to have an exact title, and I think also be realistic. I think if you start off saying, I want to be the CEO of a multinational organization, the chances of you meeting those that expectations fairly low. And I think also CEO roles are quite difficult to do, and I would never want one myself. But have a goal still in mind. If you do really want to be a CEO, maybe you could look to start your own organization. Understand the steps and the stages of how people reach those types of roles, especially if those certain roles have certain qualification requirements, especially in the community space, in the disability space, or in other services in the community. Certain funding is linked with people to have certain qualifications and experience. So sometimes a Bachelor of Social Work is a requirement for roles. So they won't even consider a candidate that even has the best experience without that qualification. Have a good resume. So having a good resume that is proofread is absolutely needed, and then also having a cover letter that is proofread and is really easy to use. Also then be able to adjust both of those two documents for each application. Each application should have a unique resume and a unique cover letter, and if you do not, I would almost say that you're wasting your time applying for that role. A recruiter is spending about 6 seconds looking at your resume, and so you need to really be able to grab that person's attention. You need to have clear dates, you need to have clear roles, you need to have clear skills and experiences on that resume. A recruiter will not spend the time trying to figure out where you were at a certain time. They will not try to figure out the history or the details behind the resume. That resume is to get you that first phone call, or even sometimes the first interview, which can be really exciting. So the resume isn't about getting you a job, it's getting you to the next stage, to the screening call or to the interview stage. It's not getting you the job. Use keywords in your resume and also in your cover letter. You can respond directly to the criteria that is listed in the job ad for both in your resume and cover letter. Recruiters are constantly searching through Seek profiles as well, so have your resume that you think is the best representation of you uploaded on Seek. Recruiters are constantly looking through locations of the candidates, key skills and experiences, job titles, qualifications, and such. So have that ready, uploaded. You never know. You also will get an email notification if someone does access your resume. So if someone does access your resume, also follow up with them with a phone call. Sometimes people get a bit busy and they might download your resume thinking, oh, I'll call that person, but they never get around to it. So it's good to be proactive in that stage as well. Also know your reasonable adjustments. Understand what type of equipment that you need, or software that you need, or time allocation that you need, and understand how to communicate that in an easy and understandable manner to your future employer. Understand also knowing of timing as well. It depends on the job that I've applied for before, but sometimes I have not disclosed about my disabilities in my application. Sometimes I have. Sometimes I have disclosed at interview stage, sometimes I haven't. Sometimes I've disclosed at a testing stage, so a psychometric test. Or sometimes I have not disclosed until that very first meeting with my direct supervisor. It is your right to disclose when you feel comfortable, and you also do need to be strategic around this as well. You know yourself the best. Maybe have a bit of a talk to people that are close to you and that understand about your reasonable adjustments and what you require in the workplace and when they think you should disclose. But some roles are asking for people with lived experience, so definitely use that as to your advantage and play to that as a strength, because as a person with a disability, you do have a different approach to things. You do see things through different lenses. You know sometimes the frustrations that people have gone through, and you understand about the importance of inclusion and accessibility for everybody, not just people with disabilities. I think also showing up on time. So showing up on time, sometimes the hardest thing is walking through that door. So making sure that you're about 15 minutes early, making sure that you know your logistics, so you know what type of transport you need to be getting, knowing where to park if you're driving, knowing about, where to grab your lunch from, those types of things. Make sure that you're really prepared for your first day or the day that you're going in for the interview. If you're doing something virtually, make sure that your software is up to date, making sure that your hardware is all working order. Boot up that computer about half an hour before you expect it to be doing that video interview. Make sure everything's working, test your mic, test your camera, make sure that you're as prepared as possible. And then also just make sure that you have any documents or IDs that are required given over. Make sure that you do that in a timely manner. If someone asks for a correction on your resume or an update or it's an ID, send them as soon as possible. It shows that you are proactive and that you're diligent with what you do as a person. Ask for help as well if you need anything. I think that's a really key point. And be polite and warm to other people. Again, have that positive attitude, strength-based approach with yourself, and start building that network in that new job or that new volunteering opportunity that you've received, and so that you can really go strength to strength in that organisation and in that role. Yeah, so good luck for your future studies as a student, and good luck for your future career. I'd be really excited to hear about other success stories that these pathway courses and forums produce in the future. Thanks, bye.